Peter Pan. The Darling household was always filled with joy and laughter. The Darlings had three lovely children, Wendy, John, and Michael. They were the happiest children who could ever be. They had the world's prettiest nursery and the most unusual nanny, a Newfoundland dog called Nana. Every night, Mrs. Darling narrated bedtime stories to her three lovely children. However, they did not know that every night Peter Pan, the boy who never grew up, hid behind their bedroom window listening to Mrs. Darling's stories. One night, Mrs. Darling had fallen asleep in the nursery with her sewing on her lap. The nursery was warm and dimly lit. The children were sleeping peacefully. Suddenly, the window opened. In came a boy, strangely dressed in an attire made of leaves. He was accompanied by a tiny light. It was perhaps this light that had woken up Mrs. Darling, for she cried out in fright, "Who's there?" At once, Nana rushed into the nursery and ran towards the boy. Peter Pan escaped, but his shadow was caught between Nana's teeth. Mrs. Darling took the shadow and kept it carefully in a drawer. "I have to tell Mr. Darling about this incident," she said and went out of the nursery. A few days later, Mr. and Mrs. Darling were getting ready to go to a dinner party. Before leaving, they went to the nursery and said, "Good night, dear children. We shall be back soon." As soon as Mr. and Mrs. Darling left the nursery, window opened and a twinkling light dashed inside the nursery, followed by Peter Pan. The twinkling light zoomed around the nursery, opening drawers. "Tinker Bell, did you find my shadow?" asked Peter Pan, worried. At once she pointed towards a drawer. "Oh, I forgot to tell you that Tinker Bell is a fairy, and a naughty fairy at that." In a flash, Peter opened the drawer and took out his shadow after scattering the contents of the drawer. "Here it is," he said happily. But the next moment, Peter shuddered. His shadow wouldn't stick to him. He began to cry. Hearing his sobs, Wendy woke up. "Why are you crying, boy?" she asked kindly. Quickly, Peter explained everything to her. "Oh, I will sew it on you full," she said quickly, and she did so. Peter was happy at last. Then he told her that he lived in Neverland with fairies, pirates, and the Lost Boys. Well, Lost Boys were children who had fallen from their palms and had landed in Neverland. I had run away from my home the day I was born because I don't want to grow up like my parents wanted me to, Peter told Wendy.